once again for coming. We want to, at this time, recognize our colleagues from the European Union, the Carter Center, the Swedish Embassy, UNDP, and our sisterly organization, the ECC, press conference. Today's press conference is basically focused on Leon's observation of the voting, closing procedures, and counting. Our today's press conference will be presided over by our steering committee members, the Catholic Justice and Peace Commission, the Federation of Liberian Youth, the Liberian Crusaders for Peace, and the National Union of Organizations of the Disabled, NUO. In subsequent press conference, Leon will give more detail to his overall observation. At this time, we will turn over to our steering committee members who will be reading for us our press statement for today. Thank you.
Wednesday, October 15, 2023, 2 p.m., Monrovia, Liberia. Leon's Election Observation Situational Report for voting, closing of polls, and counting during the 2023 presidential runoff election. Leon assesses the voting, closing of polls, and counting processes has generally improved when compared to the October 10 presidential and legislative elections. Leon comments National Election Commission officials for largely performing their duties in accordance with its procedures to deliver the presidential runoff election. Leon commends both political parties and the Liberian people for contributing to a peaceful and orderly presidential runoff election. Leon calls on political parties, voters, and all stakeholders to respect the electoral process and exercise patience for NEC to complete its constitutional mandate. Liberia Election Observation Network, Leon, provides the following post-election day statement on its initial findings during observation of voting, closing of polls, and counting during the second round of the 2023 presidential election. Leon observers reported improved adherence to procedures stipulated by the National Elections Commission. Incidents as reported and verified by its observers and analysts, and preliminary trends from ongoing social media monitoring. This statement furthers Leon's made this statement issued on November 14, 2023, with its preliminary findings from the opening of polls in around the country. During the 2023 presidential runoff election, Leon continued implementing its sample-based observation (SBO) on deploying 73 long-term observers (LTOs), 53 field coordinators (FCs), and 18 mobile field observers (MFOs) to supervise and support observation from 904 short-term observers as a statistic relevant sample of designated polling places in all 73 electoral districts. DSTO were deployed to the same 904 polling places observed during the October 10 elections. Leon reiterates that its observers and coordinators pledge to abide by a code of conduct to maintain the impartiality. Furthermore, Leon is conducting its SBO guided by the Liberian Legal Framework and domestic and international election observation standards, and its observation approach is founded on the principles of neutrality, non-partisanship, integrity, and independence to assess the overall quality and integrity of the 2023 electoral cycle. Leon's preliminary assessment that the voting, closing of polls, and counting processes are generally improved when compared to the October 10 presidential and legislative election are based on Leon's observers at assigned polling places from the 15 counties across Liberia. Observation on the NEC procedures followed are based on data collected and verified as of 9 a.m. on October 15, 2023. Leon's election day process data are followed by incidents reported by its observers and trends identified during social media monitoring of the electoral setting. The voting procedures. Leon's observers reported the following procedures funding from the polling places observed on runoff election day. Most NEC officials always adhere to the procedure in the 8 categories listed below. However, in 2 categories, ballot issuer explained how to vote correctly, and voters left polling places after voting. Leon observed compliance in approximately 78.4% of polling places for both points. The remaining 6 categories range between approximately 90.4% and 97.5% of polling places. The mostly category for the 2 lower categories are 12.7%, 16.1% respectively, while the other 6 categories range from 1.8% to 5.2% of the polling places. The range for the combined figures for procedural adherence increases to a more reassuring 94.5% to 99.3% of polling places. The observer data indicates that a high number of NEC officials appeared to always and mostly understand and implement the NEC procedures during runoff election at the polling places observed. Regardless, Leon remains concerned that the important procedural steps were observed as sometimes or never being adhered to. For example, observers reported that queue controller did not check for valid voter ID cards in approximately 3.1% of polling places. Identification officers did not take voters' names on the final registration roll in approximately 3.9% of polling places. And the ballot paper issuer did not explain how to cast a ballot correctly in approximately 3.0% of polling places. Notably, NEC officials improved on explaining the use of the tactile ballot to visually impaired voters, with observers noting that the voter aid tool was explained always in approximately 90.6% of polling places, compared to 77.9% during the October 10 elections. Queue controllers checking for valid voter card was observed as always in approximately 90.4% of polling places compared to 85.3% in previous elections. Leon notes the voters departed the polling places always higher rate of approximately 94.5% over approximately 89.4% of polling places observed during the October 10 elections. Leon recommends NEC to improve its training method and emphasize the needs of visually impaired and other people with disability so that they can more fully participate during future elections. Queue controller check for valid voter card, always 90.4%, mostly 5.2%, sometimes 1.4%, never 3.1%. ID card officer put tick next to name on registration roll, always 92.5%, mostly 3.1%, sometimes 0.5%, never 3.9%. Ballot issuer stamped back of voters' ballots, always 97.5%, mostly 1.8%, sometimes 0.1%, never 0.5%. Ballot issuer explain how to vote correctly. Always 78.4%, mostly 12.7%, sometimes 5.9%, never 3.0%. Tactile ballots explain to blind or partially sighted. Always 90.6%, mostly 5.1%, sometimes 2.1%, never 2.2%. Bus controller mark voted with indelible ink. Always 0.5%, mostly 1.9%, sometimes 0.3%, never 1.3%. Ballot secrecy of ballot papers respected during voting. Always 9.5%, mostly 3.2%, sometimes 0.4%, never 0.9%. Voters left polling places after voting. Always 78.4%, mostly 16.1%, sometimes 5.1%, never 0.4%. Lyons observers also reported that in approximately 8.3% of polling places observed, individuals were allowed to vote with all of valid voter cards, and people were seen campaigning at a polling place during voting in approximately 5.8% of polling places observed. Even though most polling places adhered to NEC's procedures, Lyon considers these deviations as concerning. Lyon acknowledges that procedure adherence was reported between 91.7% and 99.4% at polling places observed. But Lyon also recommends NEC to continue improving these important areas for procedure improvement and policy enforcement. Individuals allowed to vote with all valid voter cards. No, 91.7%, yes, 8.3%. People campaigning at polling place during voting. No, 94.2%, yes, 5.8%. Polling place ran all of ballot papers during the day. No, 99.4%, yes, 0.6%. Polling place ran out of indelible ink during the day. No, 99.4%, yes, 0.6%. Lyon is also concerned that unauthorized individuals were observed at polling places, but also recognizes that this area of observation improved from the October 10 elections. Traditional leaders at polling places decreased from 4.4% to 2.1%. Local government officials decreased from 8.4% to 7.9%. And candidates or party officials decreased from 8.6% to 7.1%. Lyon calls on traditional leaders and local government officials and candidates or party officials to adhere to the procedures of the NEC to avoid presence at the polling places. Unauthorized individuals at polling places, traditional leaders, percentage 2.1%, local government officials 7.9%, candidates or party officials 7.1%. Lyon's observers reported that the pace of voting was dramatically improved over the October 10 elections, increasing from 66.9% to 90.1% of voters casting the ballot within 5 minutes. This increase in efficiency is expected given that one ballot with 2 options needed to be completed instead of 3 different ballots with many candidates' options to choose from. Lyon notes that the increase in the pace of voting may have contributed to a decrease in long lines and a backlog in voters waiting to cast their ballots. Average time to process one voter, 0 to 5 minutes, 98.1%. 5 to 10 minutes, 9.9%. 10 minutes plus, 0.0%. Lyon commends NEC for providing a polling place layout that enable political party agents or poll watchers and domestic international observers to view the electoral process very well in approximately 87.1% of polling places and well in approximately 12.6% of polling places. For a notable combined rate of agent or observer access to approximately 99.7%, Leon notes that this hard figure is a slight increase from the 98% combined figure during the October 10 elections. Agents or observers able to observe very well, 87.1%, well, 12.6%, not well, 0.0%, not a lot, 0.3%. In the lead up to the runoff elections, Leon experienced challenges in receiving timely accreditation badges for its replacement and supplemental observers from NEC headquarters in Monrovia. Leon recommends that during future elections, NEC consider a procedure for its magisterial offices to be authorized to issue observers accreditation to enable a more timely, logistically efficient method for allowing citizens observation groups to distribute badges to its polling place observers. Leon's observers reported a marked increase in the number of polling places closing on time at 6 o'clock p.m., improving from 30% to 72.6% when compared to the October 10 elections. The number of polling places closing after 6:31 p.m. also decreased from 42.5% to 3.2% comparatively. Leon notes that there were no voters in line at 6 p.m. to 70% of polling places observed, which is a large difference from the 27.9% observed during the October 10 elections. Instances there were more than 20 voters in line after 7 p.m. also decreased considerably from 38% to 5.4% comparatively. Polling place closing time at 6 o'clock, 72.6%. 6:01 to 6:30, 24.2%. 6:30 to 7, 1.5%. After 7, 1.7%. Voters in line at the close of polls at 6, 70% to 6:30, 21.2%. 6:30 to 7, 3.3%. More than 25.4%. Leon's observers reported that voters in line at the close of the polls were permitted to vote at approximately 95.9% of polling places, an increase from the 89% observed during the October 10 elections. Notably, the voters were permitted to vote also decreased from 11% to 4.1% comparatively. Leon notes positively that NEC officials sealed ballot boxes at the end of voting in approximately 99.8% of polling places and parked voting materials away before counting in approximately 96.1% of polling places observed. Voters in line at close of polls permitted to vote yes, 95.9%, no, 4.1%. Ballot box sealed at the end of voting. Yes, 99.8%, no, 0.2%. Voting materials packed away before counting. Yes, 96.1%, no, 3.9%. Overall observers' assessment. Most of Leon's observers reporting from all 73 electoral districts assessed the election day process as very good at approximately 74.7% or good at approximately 23.6%, with a combined assessment of approximately 98.3%, considering the process as good or very good. These observers' assessments show an increase from the 66.2% very good was slight decrease from the 29.9%, good, for a combined increase from the assessment of 96% during the October 10th elections. Leon commends NEC for deploying well-trained polling officials who generally adhered to the policies and procedures to deliver the presidential runoff election. Overall observer assessment, very good at 74.7%, good at 23.6%, average 1.6%, bad 0.1%, very good 0.0%. Counting procedures. Lyon's observers reported that 5 main counting procedures were implemented by NEC officials at the high rates ranging from approximately 99.3% to 100% at polling places observed. Lyon notes that the presidential counting forms were published for public view at the polling places, approximately 99.4% of the polling places observed. Reconciliation done before counting started. We have yes and no. Yes, 100%, no, 0%. Sorting of ballot papers done correctly. Yes, 99.3%, no, 0.6%. Presiding officer worksheet filled correctly. Yes, 100%, no, 0%. Presidential record counting published for public view. Yes, 99.4%, no, 0.6%. Materials packed and sealed correctly at the end of counting. Yes, 98.8%, no, 1.2%. Notably, Lyon's observers reported that party agents or poll watchers were present at 99.8% of polling places observed. They signed the presidential counting forms in approximately 99.9% of polling places. Lyon notes that party agents or poll watchers signing the counting form is a clear sign of acceptance of those results. This high rate of procedural compliance during the counting process provides further confidence that the NEC officials performed their duties in a professional and transparent manner among the polling places where Lyon observed. Party agents, CDC, present 99.8%, signed record count 99.9%, did not sign record count 0.1%, UP, present 99.8%, signed record count 99.9%, did not sign record count 0.1%. Incidents reported, Western Region. In Monrovia County, Electoral District number 4, polling precinct number 30111, polling place number 2, an STO observed that a press agent from the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, over objection from the presiding officer, forced his way into the polling place to video record proceedings. This led to a delay in voting for about 10 minutes. In Monrovia County as well, Electoral District number 4, polling precinct number 30125, Stronger Hope School, polling place number 6, controversy sparked over a ballot paper that was found on the floor, and the presiding officer assigned it as a discarded. The assigned CDC agent requested that the ballot paper be placed in the ballot box. The PO refused. This caused a serious tension and delay in the counting process for about 15 minutes. The PO later gave the agent a complaint form to file his complaint. In Monrovia County, Electoral District number 5, polling precinct number 30246 on the AB Tubber Road, a CED-EM observer was seen removing voters from the queue and giving them observer tags to observe the election. The CDC agent protested this behavior. The observer left the polling place. In Monrovia County, Electoral District number 4, precinct number 30117, Sammy M. Duclair Soul Clinic, polling place number 1, an STO observed that a polling place staff member voted without a voter card. When he was questioned by other NEC staff, the official told them that he misplaced his card This brought tension in the polling center. Social media monitoring. Since November 14th, our dedicated team has analyzed the social media engagement of more than 50 political elites and influencers across prominent platforms, such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitter. Leon scrutinized 375 posts during this period and 86 post-successful analysis. This report outlines key findings, posts in positive and negative sentiment, highlighting specific themes and recommending future actions. Sentiment analysis. Positive posts, 50%. 50 posts, 58%. Negative posts, 36 posts, 42%. These data points were captured from key political actors, influencers, elected officials, political parties, and media using the Junkipedia platform. Themes and topics: discrediting NEC, 12 posts, 14%. Supporting NEC, 8 posts, 9%. Discrediting electoral process, 17 posts, 20%. Preliminary election results, 7 posts, 8%. Discrediting political parties, 12 posts, 14%. Electoral irregularities, 12 posts, 14%. Offensive speech, 8 posts, 9%. Misinformation and false narrative, 10 posts, 12%. This preliminary analysis provides insight into the social media landscape of political elites and influencers. Why positive sentiments outweigh negative sentiments, specific themes such as discrediting electoral processes and spreading misinformation require careful attention. By implementing the recommended action, we aim to foster a more informed and constructive online environment, particularly during critical periods such as elections. Conclusion. Leon congratulates Liberians on the peaceful exercise of their constitutional right to vote and to participate in democratic practices. Following the end of the presidential runoff election, Leon will issue a preliminary statement and then a final report on the conduct of the elections that includes findings on the overall integrity and quality of the 2023 electoral cycle. Leon calls on the NEC to continue performing its professional duty efficiently and effectively during the result tabulation process. Leon also calls on all political parties and stakeholders to be patient and respect the electoral process to maintain a genuine, credible, transparent, safe, and inclusive second round of the 2023 presidential election in Liberia. Thank you, and for further information, please contact the Leon Head of Secretariat and Spokesman. Thank you.
Well, sir, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press. At this time, we will have 5 questions. Our steering committee, yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tamat. My name is Anthony Gray, and I report for ECOWAS Radio. You hear Mike in your report, 5% people spotted campaigning on November 14th. I have keen interest to know which one of the political parties was campaigning on November 14th. 2, you also spoke of party agents refusing to sign their account forms. Why are some of the reasons they refuse? Do they not believe the process was not credible? Is that why they refused to sign as per the report you received from your observers?
Well, we're just coming here, like for people campaigning, our data people are still compiling these reports, and like it's mentioned at the end of the statement, we'll be giving you a preliminary and full statement on the overall integrity of the elections after the announcement of the results. So we are hoping to give you every detail of this, but for now we cannot just tell you exact Then for party agents not signing, you know, at some centers there were tension about disagreement over certain procedures. So this prevented some agents from refusing to sign. Like the one that we talked about where when the counting was going on and a discarded ballot was found and one of the agents decided, requested that it be placed into the ballot box. Those incidents caused some of these people not to sign. So specifically, those are some of the issues that we can point to.
Let me interject on my podium. If you listen to the document read by our able president of the Federation of Liberian Youth, she said party agents were present 99%, 99.8%. Signed record was 99.9%. 1% did not sign. In data, in terms of data collection, the percentage rate is 99% of the people signed. So it means that the people that didn't sign, approximately 1%. So it's minute. She didn't say that, you know, that they refused. The word refuse is not the right word. Thank you.
Another question?